Podcast 16, Results Driven.
Awaken the leader inside. Follow the path of leadership. Never give up. Never stop trying. Get up. Believe in yourself. Not every day is going to be easy, but you've got to challenge yourself. You need courage. Be ready. Stop waiting for it to happen. Go make it happen. Harness the power within. You were destined to be a leader. Follow the path of leadership. Awaken the leader inside.
Podcast 16, Results Driven.
Hey guys, welcome to another podcast. My name's David Rubalcava, and I'm your host here at Awaken the Leader Inside. Wow, it's hard to believe we are on our 16th podcast. I mean, time's flying by pretty fast. Hey, but you know, this podcast is going to be about being results driven, which is the final value in the 7 values of leadership that we've been talking about. And I think it's no surprise that I put this last, even though most people would put this at the top of the chain. I put this last because I really, truly believe that if you focus on all of the other 6 values, if you really spend time developing yourself and really drilling down into each value and focusing over time, naturally you're going to start to deliver results. And then that's when you have to fine tune delivering results. That's when you're going to start really drilling down on critically thinking. You're going to look at the way that you've been planning and figure out, what can I do better as a planner? How's my follow-up doing? Maybe I need to spend more time on follow-up. Maybe I need to really drill down on becoming goal orientated. So to me, results driven is very important, but I also believe that it is the accumulation of what you have already been investing in, the 7 values of leadership, and it's the final piece to the puzzle. Now, like I said, naturally, most leaders tend to jump in and, it's about results, it's about driving, it's about setting expectations and really pushing your team and holding your team accountable. But you know what? Sometimes in business, going after pure results can leave a trail of turmoil, can leave your team divided, can leave your team confused, can sometimes compromise the result versus doing what's right. And sometimes that can cause a whole scenario of issues that's going to disrupt your team, from, trust or breaking down communication, or maybe sometimes, having issues with accountability because we're so focused on the results. And so when I look at being results driven, I think the most challenging thing about it is having the foresight to step back and see the bigger picture. That, let's say, I'll give you an example. So let's say I need to become a strategic planner. I'm talking about planning 3 months out, 6 months out. What do I want my year to look like? And you're like, David, most people don't do that because we're so consumed with what's happening. You're right. But once you establish that you have a strong team, once you're consistently getting at least results, then it's time to really start thinking about, what do I have to plan? What do I have to do to increase our effectiveness, increase our efficiencies? And maybe I just need to plan a little bit better. When I think about strategic planning, I really think about that on different layers. But the one that immediately jumps out is when we're doing succession planning, when we're moving players, when we know that maybe we need to promote some people, and then that there's going to be a side effect, right? That, you move one, you're going to have to bring in another, or we may have to hire externally to bring somebody else in. So all of that stuff takes time. But most of the time, we end up reacting to a situation where maybe somebody resigns or quits, and then we're kind of, trying to get somebody in as quickly as possible, and it kind of derails our focus on other things because we have to put energy in hiring. But I'm going to tell you, as you get stronger at strategic planning, you start to really feel the pulse of your team and your department, and maybe you need to start getting a jump on hiring. Maybe you need to start planning for, the busiest peak of your season now, even though that's still 3 to 4 months away. That's where planning really goes a little bit deeper, is we're looking towards the future hurdles, because some of them are predictable. We all have seasonal times when things get more difficult, increased traffic flows. So we know that some things are going to take place. And so we have to plan better for it. And then, when we're talking about being a critical thinker, to me, being a critical thinker is being able to troubleshoot and problem solve not only short-term, but also long-term issues that we're having as a group or as a team, and really try to find solutions. So with this value, there are many layers to it. And so, one of the ones that I think that is challenging in the beginning of your career, especially if you're a new leader, is the follow-up piece. The follow-up is so important to making sure the team is on track. That's all tied to delivering results. The challenges are that sometimes we get distracted by so many different things, whether it's personnel issues, staffing issues, deadline issues, but the follow-up is something that's going to become very important to you down the road. But if you're really starting to get results and your team's starting to gel together, this is the time that this value, being results driven, is going to really allow you to follow up with your team. Start to follow up with the progress, be engaged with them, talk about their progress, spend time doing one-on-ones with them, asking for feedback and giving feedback. That one-on-one time with your team is really your chance to coach and to guide and to be a leader. I really feel like when I'm following up and I'm spending time with my team and I'm asking questions and they're sharing with me, that's probably the time that I feel like I'm actually truly a leader. Not putting out fires, but I'm really there with my team. And I think we've touched on this, we've touched on being goal-orientated many times in these podcasts. But I did categorize this one under being results-driven because, and I'll be honest with you, some of these values, they kind of blur together. They're hand in hand with each other. But to me, I realized early in my career that I was not goal-orientated, and that somehow hindered being results-driven because I lived in today. I dealt with fires today. I was literally a firefighter. That's how I felt. I couldn't see the bigger picture. And I realized that it was deeply impacting my team because we were so reactive that I couldn't see what was coming. I was almost blinded to just what's happening today, and we would take care of it. And guess what? Tomorrow another hurricane would come through and knock us down. And so I realized that being goal-orientated actually took time for me to step back and say and ask myself the most important question. What am I trying to accomplish? What do I want to focus on during this quarter or this year? What's important to me? Do I want to focus on my team's development? Do I want to focus on my own development? But what are the goals? Because I will tell you, without goals, it's very easy to get lost. It's very easy to not know which direction we're going in anymore. So if you're the leader, then it's very easy for the team to just follow wherever you're going, like a leaf in the wind, and it may not lead you to the results that you really needed. So, and then being a critical thinker. This is probably the most challenging part of being results driven, is that you're going to have to make a lot of decisions, and sometimes you're going to make a lot of decisions without having a lot of information, and you're going to have to really figure out what you think is best for your business or for your team, and what's going to, impact them long term versus short term. So being a critical thinker is really, to me, is figuring out how to maneuver through the playing field. So I look at, I love sports, so I look at football, right? And you have your quarterback, he hands it off to the running back, and now that running back has to actually start making decisions. Do I cut to the right? Should I run up the middle towards the center? Do I run back across the field? Do I have to spin out of the way? They have to start making all of these critical decisions just to gain yards. Well, you know what? Business is that way too. You're going to have to make a lot of micro decisions to get yourself in a position where you're going to be successful, or in a position where you can navigate the playing field a little bit better. But sometimes you're forced to make those decisions almost as the problem arrives at your door. So you're going to really have to challenge yourself into figuring out how to master that. But I'm going to tell you, critical thinking, if you don't have experience, you're going to have to take partners with people. You're going to have to troubleshoot. Hey, John, I have this issue. How would you problem solve this? How would you approach this situation? And how would you share that with your team? You're going to have to humble yourself down a little bit if you're not comfortable being a critical thinker, and really start to find solutions. And you don't have to come up with all of them. One of the things that I struggled with is that, I had a lot of pride. I didn't want to feel like a failure, so I refused to ask for help. And so when those difficult times came for me, I either made decisions way too late, or sometimes I just didn't make them at all, which set us up to fail. So I want you to think about being results driven. I think the easiest part is just say, hey guys, these are the goals. We're going to go after them. And then, that's all great. But to measure yourself being effective at results driven is, did you reach your goals in the set time that you had created for yourself and for your team? That's the true measure. Did you get the results the company expected from you? Did you get the results that you committed to? And if that's at the forefront of how you problem solve and how you lead your team, you're going to constantly keep redirecting, constantly kind of maneuver through it. And then you're going to make some amazing decisions that gets you through it. You're going to be consciously aware of the things that you're going to have to do. But like I said, this value is very difficult. And so I just wanted to give you a general overview of what this value is, but it's challenging. And so like every other value that we've shared, they are all challenging. They all have a different parameter, a different way that it impacts your team. At the end of the day, being results driven is going to keep you focused with your eye on the target and chase it down. So I just wanted to end with this, you guys. We are, like I've said before, we're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and I did want to let you guys know that we are also on Twitter, Facebook. You can find us at, keywords Awaken the Leader. I did want to give a shout out to someone that I met through social media that kind of helped me get my bearings as I was, getting into podcasting, because I was relatively new to it. But I want to give a shout out to Dave Ballantyne from the Surging Forward podcast. Check out his podcast. A great guy. He's got a lot of great stuff, and he does his podcast every single week. But it's about the common sense for the everyday worker and tradesman. So I just want to give him a shout out. I meet a lot of people through social media, and I've always felt like he's given me some honest feedback and always been sincere and genuine. So, and I listen to his podcast all the time. He's got a lot of great stuff in there. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out, and check it out. I'll attach it to this podcast so you guys can click on it on his website at surgingforwardpodcast.com. And, I just want to tell him thank you. I appreciate all the support. And so I just want to leave you with this note, guys. You have the power to change your position in life. You have the power to change your position in your company. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. These 7 values are going to be the way for you to really dig and start to find out which leadership value is holding you back. When you're growing as a leader, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have setbacks. But it's good to know which value you're struggling with. If you're struggling with accountability, then it's great to go back and dig into it, and to have podcasts that you can listen specifically about that. That's where we're going. And now that we've kind of generally gone through all of the 7 values of leadership, now we're going to start to dig into scenarios. Now we're going to start to dig into talking about these things with interviews, and how people were able to work through these. Not just me, but others that have gone through this, and others have gone through these challenges. So I'm really excited now that we've kind of touched on the values, and we can start digging a little bit deeper into them. But just know you can change your situation, and you can do it quickly. But just be ready. Be honest, be genuine, and be good to your team. They are going to be the ones that are going to help you find your success. So keep yourself focused, stay motivated, and we're going to make this happen. I'm excited for what we have rolling out this year. Stay tuned for the next podcast. Always remember, awaken the leader inside.